We're talking about the state of the Ghanaian city and its ripple effect, or lack thereof, on our daily lives. Now, in recent weeks, the city has shown remarkable resilience, clawing back value after months of consistent depreciation. Now, at the same time, we've seen fuel prices drop, but the question on everyone's mind remains: if the city is up and fuel is down, why are prices of goods and services still high? Let me know. Let the people of Ghana know. We're all demanding relief at the market stalls and in the transport yards. But traders and transport operators argue that the recovery hasn't filtered through their supply chains just yet. Connect with us on our socials. Let us know. Are you feeling the impact of fuel prices being down and the city being up? Is it reflecting in your personal economy? You can find us across the board on X, on Facebook, also on Instagram. The hashtag we're using this morning, it is hashtag 3FM Sunrise. In fact, we'll get that question up on our socials. Mamaya, get on that for us. The city is up, fuel is down. Are you feeling that impact in your own pockets? We know the prices of food, goods and services, and even transport still remain high. So today we're asking the question, where is the relief for the average Ghanaian? I'd love to read out all of your thoughts, so please get onto our social media. We're asking the very pertinent questions this morning. What are the realities behind pricing in our markets and on our roads? We're hearing a multitude of reasons. Is it because the goods were acquired at the time when the dollar was high? Is it because the price of car imports, spare parts are still high? How much are you spending on your transport? Also, let us know. Hopefully, we can open up the phone lines in due course and also pick your thoughts. And ultimately, how long must you and I wait before economic recovery translates into real change in our pockets? And we'll have some expert voices in this conversation to expand the tentacles of this discussion, and we can actually figure it all out. Why are we not feeling that impact in our pockets just yet? And when will we feel that impact? Tell a friend, tell a friend. We're discussing the city this morning on 3FM Sunrise.
The Best FM 92.7. Lifestyle radio station. The best in the morning is on 92.7. Sunrise on 3FM.
In particular, also on Facebook, I'm going to read out each and every comment, so please make sure you're sharing your thoughts with us. We're asking a very simple question this morning. The city is up, fuel is down, but where is the relief for the average Ghanaian pocket? Are you feeling this relief in your pocket? Do share your thoughts with us.
The best in the morning is on 92.7. Sunrise on 3FM. The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3 FM.
More music on
3FM Sunrise.
Sound check 14 after 8 as the time reads in the studio. Interesting story on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Cedi's appreciation against dollar. Price reduction will take time. Professor Gachi, GNCCI, AGI call for sustainability. Let's get into that story very quickly. And then we'll do it this way. I want to pick your thoughts on this so we can situate the conversation properly. The city is up, fuel is down. Are you feeling that economic recovery in your personal economy? Now, players in the business community have explained that the appreciation of the Ghana cedi against the dollar will not immediately translate into significant reduction in the prices of goods and services. They maintain that most businesses or traders were still selling old stock. I'm sure we've all heard that. Well, stock, let me buy a check, not all and I'm 16, 17. And we're hearing from traders that they acquired this old stock at higher exchange rates, which would most likely delay any immediate price adjustments in response to currency movements. Now, the players, including the Association of Ghana Industry, AGI, and the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GNCCI, two groups that represent a large segment of manufacturers and traders in the country, explained that prices of goods in the Ghanaian market were driven by multiple factors, including transportation costs, import duties, you have overhead expenses, with the exchange rates being just one of several influences. Now, those who spoke on behalf of the trade associations are the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, that's Mr. Seth Chum Akwabwa, and the CEO of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedu Abuaje. Now, the Dean of the University of Cape Coast School of Business, Professor John Gachi, corroborated the position of the markets, stating that meaningful reduction in prices would only occur if the cedi's appreciation was sustained over a longer period to give businesses the confidence to revise their pricing structures accordingly. And that's why we're asking you this very important question this morning on our socials. Head over to our X page, head over to our Facebook page. The cedi is up, fuel is down, but are you feeling that economic recovery in your pocket? Don Ulo, is it reflecting? Cedi is so nothing to do with my shoulders.
No, it's not reflecting.
I'm just in a better position. That's what the cedi is saying. Remember, last year, my mantra was the poor cedi must be tired.
Yeah.
It appears the cedi has had some hot chocolate drink to have, a nice sandwich, some fruits, and it's beefing up its capacity against the currencies. You're looking for what?
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate and a sandwich. What kind of sandwich?
Some
Tuna or chicken?
Oh, sandwich. Just bring me a sandwich.
What is inside is important. So you've never gone to buy meat pie and be met with air. Yes, you've never gone and bought meat pie and been met with air pie. So the filling is very important. But even what is the average price these days of a decent sandwich and a cup of a hot drink in any one of our cafes? Still very, very, very pricey. Indeed. Are you feeling that economic recovery in your pocket, or should we be focusing on other macroeconomic indicators?
You know, for a long time, in fact, when we used to talk about the rising cost of produce and food generally, you know, I made a comment here that the businesses were contributing to the problem. The food sellers were a big part of the problem. You go to buy wache from your around the corner Hajia, And Hajia number one will tell you that her wache starts from 10 Ghana.
That's
You
right.
will no longer get 5 Ghana or 6 Ghana or 7 Ghana. 10 Ghana. Take it or leave it. Hajia will tell you that her egg is 4 Ghana. Yes. Hajia would, just here. One mommy, when did we buy egg 4 Ghana? No. Sophia was the one I sent that day. 4 Ghana one.
4 Ghana.
So that day we bought egg, was it 30 Ghana or 25 Ghana? And it was not reaching because we're doing communal eating.
And some have wider palms than others
you.
to scoop.
Thank you.
Others have wider mouths
Thank
than
you.
others to ingest. Others
How
have
much is
longer
one?
throats than others to swallow.
Thank you.
Others have bigger stomachs to receive.
So you see, whereas Abiam will pick egg and willy together and add some wache to it and put in his mouth at a go, one mamia has to separate the egg from the wache.
I think you're talking about a different mamia, not the one I know, who can combine every element.
Jesus.
Talia, wache, egg, meat.
Gracious me.
Yes. So maybe you caught her on the wrong day. The appetite was low. I think maybe on a day when she had already finished demolishing the breakfast. You saw there was a small lull. You saw Francois here. Yes, so on a morning like that, something has already happened at the canteen before that communal watch, before the lunch itself. So
One mamia, I was saying something for you,
No,
but
no,
at this
no.
point. So imagine that your Hajia is selling her egg, her wache 10 Ghana for a scoop. And that scoop is not a scoop that can satisfy you. You have to take like 2 scoops. Imagine your Hajia is selling her egg for 5 Ghana.
in fact, let me start doing some computation. We're already at 20 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
All right.
No, actually 25.
Okay,
If
that's
a-
the
if a
2
scoop is
scoops
10 Ghana.
for the wache alone. That's wache. Then we have the egg, 5
So
Ghana.
let's say you are buying wache 10 Ghana.
Pe.
Pay.
Okay.
Let's just assume that
Let's go with that.
you are managing.
Wache 10 Ghana.
When you owe
Yes.
people, you can't be eating.
That's true. Nicki Minaj says poor people should never laugh, should never enjoy. Don't laugh, don't say anything. Just be straight, focus on your work. 10 Ghana for the
Some of
wache.
them too. So 10 Ghana for wache.
Egg.
5 Ghana for egg. Fish, what fish, right?
Fish,
okay,
20
no,
cedis.
Forget, you are poor, you don't have, so you can't eat wache, egg and fish.
Maybe you
So
add
yes.
wele?
Yeah, wele normally is something. So wele is what?
5.
2 cedis? How much is wele?
Oh, 3, 4. I'm also seeing 5 from the back room.
5 Ghana.
Yes.
Hey.
Let's go with the
So
upper
let's say
limit.
5.
Okay.
Let's say 5. I don't like wele, so I don't know.
We are at 20 cedis already.
For wache.
Yes.
Okay.
Will you add Gary? Will you add
So,
Talia?
no, definitely.
Okay, how much is that?
The ordinary Ghanaian, the people, we don't eat our wache without Talia and Gary.
Gary. But
You
the
have to
Talia
add
is like 2 cedis.
is 2 cedis, yes.
2 cedis.
Talia is 2 cedis.
Gary 2 cedis.
Gary is 2 cedis.
Okay.
So that's how much?
24 Ghana cedis already on this meager portion because you've bought 10
so
cedis wache.
this is wache, egg, Gary, and Talia.
Talia.
24 Ghana.
That's right.
Okay. That's the average Ghanaian. That's what he buys at the regular wache shop. You need 2 sachets of water. That's like what? 1 cedi.
1 cedi. 25 Ghana
25
cedis
Ghana cedis.
for your breakfast.
Okay. So 25 Ghana cedis for breakfast. What is the minimum wage? The daily minimum wage. Just quickly.
Let's get that.
So it means that whatever effort the government is making to draw down prices, if they are trying to check inflation and all those fancy economic terms that they use, they are checking inflation, cities appreciating, prices of fuel stabilized. Let's say it's even stable at, I think now the average is 13 cities.
Yes.
Because I've seen 12.77. I've seen.
In fact, when Goyle released their latest figures, they were about 13 cedis 65, but that was last week. I have to check their prices today.
So let's just say the average per liter is 13 cities. Let's peg it there for everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So expectation from people like us is that the appreciation of the cedi, the stable or not stable, reduced fuel prices should translate into reduced transport fares, reduced cost of food. Because when you go to buy the food, what do they tell you? Oh, about Haja, watch it, Tangana, eso dodo, it was a small. Eswa dodo. Eswa dodo. And then Haja will tell you, oh, say, and then say, things no, prices no,
so you are two transport.
Yeah, you are two transport, you are two fuel. You are two fuel. $1 no, and koye. That is what the average Hajia will tell you. You enter Trotro. Then from Medina to Accra Mall, then they will say 5 Ghana. I say fuel prices or more cost this one is going down. Or coffin. Then you ask the maid, say what then man reducing fare no?
Because spare parts no embar form.
But why is the spare part not buying form? Because the dollar has bar form.
Or because the metal spare part not dollar nenam 16. I trust 16. So that time now me metal spare parts no. And there was a train.
Which can simply not be true.
He said
so
the stock. He said all the stock he has. He didn't sell.
The one you bought whilst the dollar was 16 Ghana is the same stock you are still having now that the dollar is 13 Ghana.
He has not got new stock.
There has to be some honesty in business in this country. So, this is not the first time I'm making this argument that businesses are a part of the problem. The food sellers particularly are a big part of this problem. Yeah, that means somebody is selling banku to you, kinky. Imagine the time that they were selling the ball of kinky. In some areas you won't even get 5 Ghana ball of kinky.
In fact, the kinky index, they do some very comprehensive kinky analysis, and shout out to the kinky index. I've forgotten the name of their lead kinky price curator, but they had some updated stats. They said 3 months ago you would have paid 6 Ghana cedis, 17 pesos for kinky, equivalent to the weight of sachet water. About 3 months ago, this is as of, yes. Now you have to pay 6 cedis, 26 pesos. So a relatively slight increase of 1.59% compared to a year ago. However, the price is up by 29.58% for just for kinky alone. It's up by almost 30% since last year. So the prices of food still going up.
Let's pray the kinky sellers don't start asking us to buy the pepper.
They have.
Are you buy the kinky and buy the pepper?
Yes, they're asking if you want more for somebody. Oh, money more, you pay for the pepper. This started around late last year. If you don't, especially if you don't buy fish. If you don't buy fish, you will pay for the pepper.
So those of us who also buy the kinky and just take it away without taking
maybe you have your own protein at home, you have some chicken or pork.
So normally we'll buy the kinky and go and do our own pepper and things.
Now, if you want the kinky seller's pepper, you will pay for it.
No, then I'll have to start collecting the pepper. The one that I'm entitled to.
Collect that one. But if you want any more those of you for become you pay. That's the latest in town. And also, Sixtus, the national daily minimum wage is 19 cedis, 97 pesos, effective from March 1, 2025.
Yes. I remember the discussion we had. So I think that government has to find another way to engage. I have heard, when I was monitoring the news, I think yesterday or so, I heard the engagement that the finance minister is having with businesses. And we need to have that bitter conversation. If government is doing its part to ensure that prices, inflation is checked and fuel prices are brought down and stabilized, then we must see a reflection of same in our daily consumption. So that, why should we still be paying more for utilities? When the argument the PURC made at the time was on a rising dollar.
That's right.
I mean, if that is your strongest argument for increasing cost of utilities, now that we have the dollar coming down against the Cedi, we have to see a translation of that. So I think that businesses are a big part of this conversation that we must have. And for me, I think they are the problem. Because, I mean, who checks it? Who checks pricing? We are in a free market economy, right?
That's right.
Who checks it?
Shall we hear from the horse's own mouth? Because you've made some very powerful statements, Sixus Don Ulo. The president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has joined us on the phone lines. Dr. Joseph Obeng. Doc, hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, madam.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. The conversation this morning is all about the Cedi. The Cedi has appreciated. Fuel prices have dropped, yet prices of goods, especially imported items, remain high. How does GUTA justify this to the everyday Ghanaian?
Yeah, so the market forces will determine the price. The sustainability of these gains will determine the price. The market will surely respond. You see, we've come out with an appeal. And then you also recognize the fact that we are not in price control regime and that we cannot force anybody to price. We are in a liberalized market. But then we are doing a very sincere appeal to our members to the extent that the business that we do not do it alone. We do it with our consuming public. They are our customers. When they are challenged and their prices are high, they are unable to buy for us. Business thrives on turnover. And that if the consumer is hard-pressed, if his purchasing power is down, he cannot buy. It means that we are unable to achieve that, because then you are unable to service your debt at the bank and then service your debt for your suppliers. So it's then important that we pull along when we have any gain. That's why we are doing this sincere appeal. But having done this appeal, most of my members have been calling and saying that, President, are you sure this thing is going to be sustained? What about those of us who have the stock for the old prices and all that? This obviously there's a challenge. So what I've been telling them is that in situations like this, you have to strike reasonable average. You look at the present rate, and then you look at the rate that you buy, and you come in between. And that's what I have been using. For the importers, most of them can adjust easily because they are the direct beneficiaries of the downward trend of the dollar. But when it comes to the retailers, that's where we have a major challenge for this adjustment. You see, the importers bring the goods and then sell it to the retailers. So the retailer does not have anything to do with the forest directly. Right. And so unless they sell the goods and then replenish, when they are replenishing the next time, they go and buy the cheaper ones that have come down, and then the prices will settle. So there too, I tell them that if you sell about half of the goods, you can still go for the new prices so that you can strike this average that I'm talking about, so that you can still be in the competition. Because whether we like it or not, we are in a competitive market. We are not a monopolistic market where you say that because your price, you got your price at a higher price, you cannot reduce. And then people will come and buy. If you come to the market, there are so many thousands of people trading in the same commodity lines. So when one gets it cheaper, he's not waiting for you that your price was high. You start selling the price at a cheaper price to get more customers and then enhance on his turnover. So the market forces definitely will settle in soon. The prices will respond positively, and then we can all have the benefit for ourselves.
So, Dr. Abing, it's a question of sustainability, you say, because in time past, we've seen how the Cedi has gone up, down. It's not been as stable. It's been erratic. So is it a measure of caution so that traders don't, rush to reduce prices and then they are met with, a Cedi that is maybe not as strong in some months to come? How long then would you say it will take for these currency changes to reflect in the pricing of goods on the market, if you're able to put a timeline on it?
So I know that some people have responded, and then, like I said, most of them have also not responded because of the reasons that we just discussed. But we are in a consumer's market. For Ghanaians, we are advantaged because the market is for the consumer. It's not like the Europeans, that is the seller's market. You go to a shop and then prices are written boldly there and you have to just buy it. The teller will give you the invoice. Here we exploit the market, bargain with the traders, and then buy eventually. And so once people are selling cheaper, it will bring in the others, because otherwise you cannot overprice yourself out of the market. And that's why we are coming out with this education to tell them how to do calculations at this time so that you can still be in business. Because if care is not taken, you also overprice yourself out of the market, or your customers would have left you. When the dollar was 16, I used 16.5 to do my calculation, because always I have to foresee that it might go up again. And now that it's 13.5, then I see that I have to also be in competition or take advantage and then edge other people out of my way in competition.
Right.
So I then come in between, and I'm using 14.5 to do my calculations. In this way, I will still be close to my 16 and then close to the 13.5 for my calculation and all that. This is what I'm preaching to most of them, that you can come in between and then transfer some of the gains to the consumer. You can still have your customers intact,
right?
And then business will be good for you. Yeah.
That's an interesting strategy. Doc, hold that thought for me. Let me also introduce into this conversation Abbas Imoro. He's the Director of Industrial Relations, GPRTU. Mr. Imoro, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Now, with the recent reduction in fuel prices, has there been a review in transport fares? The people want to know, when can they feel some of this relief that we're getting at the pumps?
Not now. Currently, it is only fuel that has come down a bit. But all other components which prices went up are still the same. Nothing has changed. So we are hoping and praying that moving forward, things will change for any reduction or otherwise.
Which other components are you referring to that make up the price build-up?
Spare parts, lubricants, all these items which went up has never visited any reduction. Just last Saturday, 3 days today or so, I bought a battery, car battery, 17 plates car battery, which was some time back around 600, 700. I bought it for 1,100. meaning the prices are still at its high peak. See, so this is a situation in which we are. If all those items are to experience downward reduction, why not? You remember somewhere 2 years back, we were able to reduce lorry fares as low as 15%. To all of you in the media, your utmost surprise. So if when the need arises, why not? We shall reduce. But for now, the current situation does not demand any
reduction. So you say for now, the price remains the price. Ghanaians should not look forward to any reduction in the fares. I'm sure you've heard that complaints that often comes that transport fares will go up when fuel rises. Yes.
Surprisingly, if fuel is being increased, they don't look at the value. And the decrease too, they don't look at the value. All they know is fuel has been decreased 2 times, 3 times. Why not lorry fares? They say, but they are getting it wrong. If fuel is being increased, for example, about 50 pesos on a liter, and in about a week, 2 weeks, or 1 month time, 10 pesos is reduced, another 10 pesos is reduced, all the passenger know is fuel has been reduced 2 times. Why not lorry fare reduction? But if you calculate that way, you always get it wrong.
In the last pricing window, maybe the one before the last, is it the case that fuel went down by more than 10 pesos, about 2 cedis?
Yes, what I'm saying is, if we don't even run transport with only fuel, that's all that we are saying. You see, we take, look, my sister, we take taxes that we pay. The taxes are being increased. We look at the percentage. Permits that we pay to the assemblies, if it is being increased, we look at the percentages. All those are the items we consider before coming up with any upward adjustment in lorry fares. Likewise, the decrease. You see.
Let me go back to Dr. Joseph Obeng, president of GUTA. Now, Doc, what would traders need to see economically or policy-wise to feel confident enough to reduce prices? I know you say it could take some time, but in that time, what are you really looking out for to measure how much you can reduce prices?
Traders are laymen. They see what they see. Because they are not economics to dissect economic policies and all that. What they see is what they see. So as this thing is going down, it gives them a lot of confidence. But the doubt that happened before yesterday, that it was short-lived, is what make them ponder whether this thing is going to be maintained. So I think the longer this thing takes is what will give them the absolute confidence for them to do the needful. But let me tell you, they will adjust as and when they also buy the cheaper forest. Definitely, that's how business is. Nobody overprice himself out of the market. So the market forces will determine, and it will not be long. That's my opinion, because I'm in business. So the only thing that needs to be done is the sustainability of the whole thing. The market will adjust to it, and everybody will have. But there are other factors of costing also. The VAT had always been the problem of the trader or the businessman. The VAT, and then as it was promised that they will revise it, we are still waiting. It hasn't been revised. So when we have advantage like this, we do all the things comprehensively to make it absolute, and then the benefit transcends to all. Look at the ECG and their bills. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Whatever rates of the tariff that we are paying for ECG was very economical. They were just misusing it. And then the reason why they also came for the increment, they used a major factor was the exchange rate. And now the dollar is going down. Government itself have to lead this fight for the reduction of the ECG. They have to reverse the whole increment so that people will also have confidence in the whole thing. If government wants us to reduce our prices, it should also drive some of these things. That's why the government have influence. They should talk to PRC. It doesn't make sense. There's no justification for that 10% increment. And if care is not taken, this gain is going to be negated by that single tariff increment.
Certainly. And that's why these conversations are important, so that we get that holistic perspective also of the price build-up. You mentioned the tariffs, as well as other elements that traders will also be looking out for when they put together their pricing. What do you make of the conversation that price reductions should be a trader's moral responsibility, especially when there is economic hardship?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I've been saying. If you listen to me carefully, we recognize the fact that the business that we don't do it in isolation. We do it with the consuming public. And you call them consuming public, we call them our customers. And so whatever it is, we have to make sure that our customer is attached to us and they buy the goods for us, and then they are encouraged even to buy. So every pricing that we do, we also factor the affordability aspect. But if the cost of doing business is so much to the extent that you cannot do anything for your consumer, then that's where government come in to create this enabling environment for us that we have always been saying, the number of taxes that we pay, the VAT structure that we've been complaining and all that. And when we are able to do all these things, then naturally the prices will trickle down. Prices have gone down severally in this country, but because people are enjoying, it didn't come to the limelight for the press to highlight. So it seems that prices are always on the ascendance, they are going up and up and up. No, it's never like that.
Right.
Because the competition there is so much. Now we have the bigger players, the Chinese coming here directly, the Turkish people, the Indians and all that. So nobody can just simply wake up and say that I'm overpricing myself. And what are you going to make of it? You overprice it and your goods will be, it means that you want to hold your stock. It doesn't make sense. So we are always factor our consuming public, their interest into whatever thing that we do. Only that we need the enabling environment to help us do this. We know the reason why I'm even excited about this downward trend of the dollar is going to pull down inflation and also pull down the interest rate, so that all the economic indicators is going to be right. These are the indicators that make business thrive. And I believe that if we're able to sustain it, it's going to help. But let me tell you, government also have to be careful about some economics.
Right.
Who would just go and confuse government that the cedi have become so strong and that is not positive for export and is not going to help. This huge economy things that they've been doing, that were backfired in the past. So government think that the cedi is so strong, so they do devaluation. In the past they called it devaluation. They intentionally will allow the dollar to go up, so that when government get foreign receipts like cocoa, gold, and all that, they can sell it higher and get more to pay. Those hideous economic directions by some economists is what has brought us this far. Because when the exchange rate goes down like this, it fuels a positive speculation. So the people who trade in the forest as a source of value are all bringing their monies down. If these economies go and then government say, okay, let's push it up small, let's push it up, and then it also fuels negative speculation where people start buying, oh, the thing is going up again, let's start buying and saving and all that. It doesn't help. We should take the advantage of the gains that we have made to enhance on our productivity so that the output of our production, our industries, will become competitive so that we can sell to our neighboring countries and all that. So this is a very good thing that we have to take a serious advantage of and make sure that we are able to maintain it without any distractions.
Doc, thank you so much for your time this morning. And you've said that it's important for us to think about how to maintain this gain. You say this gain will come to nothing if we're not able to sustain it. Thank you for your perspective on this matter. And I'm sure in some months to come, we'll be having a different conversation when prices have been slashed by 90% or so.
Thank you so much.
All right. Again, that was Dr. Abing, president of GUTA. Abasi Moro, though, still with us on the phone lines. We're still talking about fuel being down and the price of transport fares. Mr. Moro, so how long are you looking to see the Cedi remain stable or for fuel prices to stay low before transport fares can realistically be reduced?
Well, I would say as long as things change for reduction. Because, we are also like the GUTA president said, we are also in good business. We are running transport for a profit. And nobody will buy something 1 cedi and go and sell it at 80 pesos. Nobody can do that. So as long as we have performed the magic before, when the time comes, we will do that.
Certainly. Mr. Moro, thank you so much for your time this morning. I'm sure my listeners are not going to be too excited. They were hoping for some better news, but of course, there are more.
Well, each time we had opportunity, allow them also to contribute. So maybe that will lead us to explain our situation further to everybody.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for calling.
Thank you so much for also lending us your time. And that was Abasi Moro, Director of Industrial Relations, GPRTU. He says the transport fares are not coming down. Don't hold your breath. They are still monitoring the market. Spare parts, he says, still quite high. He's had to buy some spare parts himself. He says the price has increased almost twofold. Let's also speak with Julius Jima, Executive Director, Center for Economic and Financial Analysis. Julius, good morning.
Good morning, Helen.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on this segment. We're talking about the Cedi, or shall I say the mighty Cedi, as we've seen in the last few months, gaining some strength. We also know that fuel prices have gone down, at least in some 4 pricing windows. From an economic standpoint, how significant is this recent rebound of the Cedi, and is it sustainable?
Good morning, Helen, to your Sheriff, viewers and listeners. Good morning to the entire team. Thank you for having me once again. I think that this will go a long way to bring some about savings to the ordinary Ghanaian. One of the things in economic development is to look at poverty reduction and then bridging the gap between inequality and then inequity. So there's this theory that anytime prices of goods and services go up, or even when the exchange rates, also go up in regards to the dollar, it benefits the rich, and for that matter, the poor suffer. So in times where prices are also coming down, and I've also been doing the monitoring with regards to petroleum product, I think it's been on the decline for the past, weeks or months or so. Cedi now is gaining, so our exchange rate is going up. I think that is a welcoming news that it will bring some relief in the system, in the economy, in the market. It will bring some confidence back to the business community. And then I believe that the long term is what we've been looking at, which is the sustainability. But for the time being, these are things that we want to welcome into our economy. These are the news that we want to be discussing, the conversations we want to be having, that it is not all the time that we keep suffering from losses on exchange rate and then also losses, coming in as a result of what inflation. So it's going to really, promote businesses, promote confidence, and encourage investors to do something more meaningful in our economy. And that is good for the entire country.
Now, what's your expert view then on the time lag between these macroeconomic improvements that we're all hailing, so currency gains, reduced inflation, etc., and the microeconomic relief, like price cuts, what you and I want to really feel in our pockets? I'm sure you were able to listen to the president of GUTA and also Abbas Zimoro of the GPRTU, and the sentiment across the board is it will take time. But the everyday Ghanaian wants to know how much time until we're feeling it, directly in our pockets.
That time will be dependent on how fast the government will move into, advancing this windfall. It's clearly, I've always said that this whole Cedi appreciation is in two sides. The externalities affecting the global international market and the government policies, especially with regards to monetary policy. So government will have to do their best possible all the time. If it happens like this for us, then I think that GUTA and even transport people will not have cause to reduce most of the prices. If you listen to GUTA, most of the argument they've been advancing over time is that it's their import cycle. And most businesses have got about a month or two, an average 3 months with regards to their import cycle. And then we can clearly make deductions that from January till now, the cedi has been appreciating, the dollar was going down. So businesses who perhaps brought in goods or ordered for their product by January, February, and March, by now, if all things being equal, they've been able to sell everything on the market. When they are making new reorder, it will come at a reduced price at even the port for them. And that should mean that it should be able to come down. And that is the argument. So goods and services between March, April, and this May, at least we should be able to get some price reduction. And I think that from last week, the finance minister has been on the verge by advocating to Food and Beverages Association of Ghana and then as well as GUTA to be able to have some reduction on their prices to reflect current condition to be able to help the ordinary Ghanaian. So as for the time, it depends on how the finance minister will continuously do the engagement with the business community. But what we should be careful so that we can hasten slowly is that there are other forces that is, holding this gain that we are looking at. Right. And that is within, not within the control of the finance minister. And when that happens, the whole pressure will come back again. Or that the minister will have to move fast together with the governor of the Bank of Ghana is to look for the dollars so that they can supply timely to be able to give some importers some money so that they can do the import. The moment people are having their cedis and they are looking for the dollar to import and they are not getting it, that will be a disaster for us. So we just have to hasten slowly. We shouldn't force pressures too much, neither on the business community as well as the consumer. But we can only appeal to them to be able to bring some balance for that. Currently, what we are fighting for is that we'll be able to restore the business confidence in the system. People will be at peace trading. People will be comfortable trading because we know that when you go to the market, they will give you the right price. You pay the right amount of cedi so that you can get your value for money and then you can still make your savings. The little things we have when you go on the market, we should be able to get more goods. And that will mean that we have been able to increase our purchasing power parity. So it is all good for us. The finance minister can only be encouraged to take advantage of this windfall. But we shouldn't be so overjoyous. And we need to be careful with this. We have to see this caution because what is happening again with negotiations that went on yesterday between China and the U.S. in Switzerland, the dollar is gaining some grounds again, and that is why both the business community are saying that they are going to monitor, and they have to monitor. Certainly, yes, the dollar will gain a bounce back again with what is happening on the international market again. But what we have to do locally, we need to tighten those policies. And then if you look at trade report from Statistical Service, our gold export has been doing so well. In fact, they said for the fact that between last year, we've been able to increase our export over import. So we've been recording a lot of trade surpluses over time. Our export alone last year amounted to 294 billion, whereas our import amounted to 250 billion. And key amongst the products that brought us a lot of foreign exchange is gold. So we cannot discount the fact that gold purchase program and gold export is really doing the magic for us in this particular time. Unfortunately, one of the commodities that can really sustain our economy and get us foreign cash to be able to sustain our city is cocoa. But unfortunately, production is low. So even though the price of skyrocketed, escalated to about $10,000, gold is doing around $2,800, but it's really doing the magic for us. So let's think about it, that if we are be able to increase cocoa production, and then we are getting all these dollars from the international market back into the country, the more the city will go, the dollar will go down, and then the city will appreciate. But unfortunately, because of cocoa production and its relative issues surrounding it, and then gold, and then illegal mining, there is something that government must do. All that I usually say is that as a country, we should know that we have two competing commodities. Both of them are earning us foreign cash. Which one would we have to prioritize over the other? We prioritize gold over cocoa, or we prioritize cocoa over gold. One protects the environment, one will have to cause some distraction to the environment. Which one as a country we want to use to be able to mitigate the risk that comes as a result of exchange losses or gains for us. So these are the long-term view that the finance minister should be making the hardcore decisions and advising its related ministries to be able to have a policy shift and direction as to where we want to go. But in the meantime, kudos to the gold community. They are doing the magic for us. Let's not also forget about our development partners, which is the IMF. They are also helping us with the supply of dollars. Recently, they gave us about 360 for the fourth review. So they are also there monitoring our space, and that is also good news for us. What we have to escalate more is to go back to our import items so that we can begin to have public-private partnership with our people. We want to have entrepreneurship drive. We want to create more business innovations. The president has shown commitment with policy when it comes to industrialization. There's a policy on 24-hour economy which seeks to be able to focus on the productive sector, and that will also be dependent on infrastructure development, and there's a commitment with a big push. These are the things that we have to focus for the long-term sustainability of our exchange rate, so that we'll be able to build the needed factories that will be able to stand shocks and vulnerabilities of our economy, so that with or without any externalities, we are doing something beneficial or meaningful locally to be able to maintain the performance of our city. That we can boldly and confidently say that we are free. And that is where we can now put pressure on the GUTAs and on the transport community and force them to bring prices down. But for now, things are a little bit dicey, and that is where we need to hasten slowly. So in terms of the timing, it will be a little bit reluctant because just as yesterday, the speculative and the discussions going on is really driving the dollar back again, and we need to be careful with where we have to push our businessmen so that they will not be disadvantaged.
Right. Because you mentioned speculation, how much of a role then does market psychology and speculation play in the stickiness of prices, even when economic indicators improve?
Well, it's so much important. It's very, very important that speculations are good for the market. And I heard Dr. Joseph Obin that people are doing hoodios economics, and
yes, that's how he described it. He said there's some hoodios economic actors in the space who are doing some kind of voodoo economics. Weigh in on that for me.
The issue here is that once you speculate, the city is gaining. So if you have dollar sell, now let's not forget that the value in terms of the exchange, the spot price, we put buy and sell. Now, if you are not careful, and the way people are speculating, oh, this is the time to release your dollars. Come, if you go, they will buy it at a lower rate for you. Almost all the forex bureaus and the black market, the buy price is always lower than the sell price. So if you have the dollar and then you want to sell, it is referred to as buy, what they will buy, and that is around 12. So that is the trick here. Now, if you have cedis and you want to buy dollar, that is the sell. How much they will sell to you? They will sell you to you at 13 and point so and so. So if we are not careful with the speculative move, the city is gaining, then people will run to the Ministry of Finance and then let's keep now, let's have more cities around us. And as a result, the minister, if care is not taken, will be so much of a better way, like about joyous. And then if care is not taken, when new dollars are coming, they will buy it at a lower rate and then keep it. It's a kind of things that he was referring to has not been helping. Once you do that, you devalue your currency. Because now your currency is dependent on so many things. Until recently that we wanted to back our currency with our gold. The gold export is bringing us the money, all right. But we want to see a scenario where, if we are trading with our development partners or the international community, like petroleum products, Bank of Ghana have to look for the dollars and auction them. And in looking for the dollars, sometimes there's an SPV, or there's somebody who will go looking for the dollar for the Bank of Ghana and be bringing and supplying to them. And all these things, governance issues and corruption surrounding it, and then the confidence and all that. So we have to be careful with the way people speculate. It's good that, the city is gaining, everybody is talking about it and is driving the speculation. Speculations are good for the market, but negative ones are not good. But it should be backed with something. What I've seen is that people are able to speculate, but they don't back it with something tangible. And that is where Dr. Bien was referring to. So the finance minister should be cautious, and I'm glad about the approach of the finance. So far, they have not really come out to, speak about this exchange, because he knows where he sits, he knows what is happening.
He knows
so
that it's a game of patience also, as we watch the other factors that are influencing the city's appreciation. Right.
Exactly. He clearly knows. So I'm happy that his posture and the way he has carried himself over this, exchange gains, he hasn't really come out to celebrate or over-celebrate all these things, because he knows that by the time we wake up again, things might change. But all that we can say is that we need to take advantage of these things that is happening around us and build our productive sectors. That will bring us a long-term sustainability. Usually, during periods like this, multinationals will have to repatriate their profit. It puts pressure on the dollar because demand goes to the dollar, and as a result, it will move back. So what are the incentives that we are going to use to entice multinationals to keep their dollars in the country? We are looking at our current account. We are looking at inward remittances. We are looking at foreign direct investment. People holding U.S.-denominated dollars or assets or investments in the country, would they be able to have that confidence to keep all those monies in the country? Or when they decide to move the dollars outside the country because economic conditions and the macroeconomic indicators and the fiscal policy of government is not really favoring them, and they decide not to buy government treasury bills, and government also want to go to the market and do business, how are we going to get the dollars? So these are things that we are pondering over it, that just as these gains are coming, how are we going to ensure that we meet the sentiment, the speculations, all these investors that are holding their dollars in the country? In as much as we want them to bring in their dollars, we have to be making sure that we have the supply. When they need it, we can give it back to them, or even to be able to meet demand for our local people, most importantly, those who are doing the import. And that's why the spare parts people are also hesitant, because once it happens and then they move their prices, and by the end of the month, and they are going to reorder new goods and import them, and the dollar price has changed. Where are you going to get the remaining shortfall to be able to meet up? So we just have to hasten slowly and be cautious about the news happening around us. All
Absolutely.
that we can encourage is that let's focus on what government intends to do for the country. We should be discussing 24-hour economy. We should be discussing Ghana first. The Minister of Agric recently launched Feed Ghana. We should be discussing private partnership in rice plantation, in sugar production. Until recently, if not Dangote, who entered into the market and has come to invest about $162 million in sugar production. We haven't seen any Ghanaian entrepreneur who is moving into that direction, but we have our own African brother who has come in to step in. And this is a major news for us that is going to help us control our forex. These are the things that I believe that we would take advantage of what is happening currently to move and make investments in the production sectors, so that we can ultimately, maximize these gains and make sure that our city have the stability we are looking at. Objective, finally, of some of these exchange rates and everything is that what are we looking out for? Do we need the stability? Do we need to have an exchange rate autonomy, or we need foreign exchange accessibility?
Hello, Julius.
Hello.
Yes. All right. Those were your final thoughts.
Yes, my final thoughts are that we should ponder on the things that we want to use our exchange rate objectives to mean, or in the sense that areas of stability, areas of autonomy, and then foreign exchange accessibility as a country. Which one do we want to prioritize? Is it the stability we need? Is it to be able to control it or have access to our foreign exchange? And that is what we need to ponder over it.
Absolutely. Julius, thank you so much for your time this morning. Julius Jima is the Executive Director, Center for Economic and Financial Analysis. And we've had a very interesting conversation this morning. As we wrap up the morning's conversation, one thing is clear. While the macroeconomic indicators such as the city's rebound and reduced fuel prices give hope, the reality on the ground remains somewhat complex. Traders are still recovering from losses incurred during the city's slump. Transport operators are citing operational costs that go just beyond fuel, and consumers continue to feel the pinch. Now, what we've heard today is a call for patience, but also for transparency, accountability, and proactive communication. The hope is that if the current economic trends hold, we'll begin to see real change in the cost of living, hopefully not too far down the road. Many thanks to my guest this morning, Dr. Joseph Obing Abasimoro, Julius Jima, for helping us unpack the layers behind prices and expectations. And to you, of course, our wonderful listeners, the conversation doesn't end here. Do head over to our social media handles. We are at 3FM 92.7, and we're asking whether or not you're feeling the changes in your personal pocket. We'll pause now for a quick break. When we come back, there's a lot more on the bill this morning. Womanpreneur is coming up. You don't want to miss it.